The importance of letting go for our emotional health can be one of the most challenging yet liberating experiences of our lives. Whether it's releasing past hurts, moving on from a failed relationship, or letting go of unrealistic expectations, learning how to let go is important for our personal growth and emotional well-being. So you may be wondering, how can we move forward with our lives and let go of what is no longer serving us? Hi, if you don't know me, I am Barika from Simply Unique Coaching, and I have been leading for over 15 years. I've led more than way more than 18 teams, way more than 15 years. And in today's video, I want to share with you some effective strategies to help you learn how to let go. And as a bonus, I'll provide tips on how to maintain a positive mindset as you move forward. So first of all, let's talk about why it's important to learn how to let go. And we're going to talk about 3 different reasons. So the first reason is that it actually promotes emotional healing. Letting go allows us to heal from past wounds and to move forward with a lighter heart. Holding on to past grievances can keep us stuck in a cycle of pain and resentment, and we definitely don't want to be stuck, right? Because we're trying to move forward and we're trying to do great things in this world. And practicing forgiveness and self-compassion will actually allow us to release emotional burdens and keep us from carrying things forward with us that really we should leave in the past. The second reason why we want to learn to let go is that it actually enhances our personal growth. So when we let go of limiting beliefs and negative thought patterns, it's going to help open up doors for new opportunities and for personal growth. And learning to let go of the fear of failure can definitely empower us to take risks and to pursue our dreams. So we can do something like challenging our negative thoughts, and we can replace them with positive affirmations. The third reason why we want to make sure that we let go of things that are no longer serving us, things that need to be in the past, it also is going to help improve our mental and our physical health. And whenever we learn to let go of stress and anxiety, it's going to lead us to having a better mental and physical health. And a lot of times when you see people carrying things in their bodies for a specific period of time, things that they just are like, man, I can't get over this sickness or this illness or this disease. A lot of times it's actually that their body is holding on to something negative that they need to be healed from. And once they process that situation properly, it's going to allow them to release that out of their body. And then it's going to help them to have that physical health that they need to have, as well as having better mental health. And we also know that chronic stress can show up in our bodies in ways such as headaches, insomnia. Sometimes people have more serious things that are going on. And a lot of times people are on, in my opinion, they're on medication and they're having a lot of things that they really actually don't need. It's actually mental health that they need to resolve. And once their mental health gets resolved, then their physical health is going to get resolved as well. So we want to make sure that we pay attention to that and we let go of things that really need to stay in the past, right? And we want to do that in a healthy way. So we're going to talk about strategies on how to do that next. Also, we want to engage in stress relieving activities. So things such as exercise, deep breathing, whatever floats your boat as far as how you relieve stress, we want to definitely engage in those. So now we're going to actually talk about some strategies on learning how to let go. So the first strategy that we're going to talk about is first we need to acknowledge our feelings, okay? Because we cannot make progress if we are not acknowledging where we are. It's almost like you have a map. And if you don't know where you actually are on the map, you can walk north, south, east, west, but you have no idea where you're going to go if you cannot pinpoint where you are on the map, especially if you know you're trying to get to a certain destination. So knowing where you are will help you figure out how to get to where you want to be. And going back to acknowledging our feelings, taking the time to acknowledge what's going on inside of us is really going to be the way that's going to help us heal. So sometimes people grow up differently and you may not have the vocabulary to help you express how you're feeling on the inside. So I would encourage you to Google or DuckDuckGo or whichever is your preferred search engine, but take a look at different lists of feeling words and use the feeling words that are appropriate for you. So you may have felt disappointed that your ice cream fell on the ground. Maybe you had your mouth really fixed and set to have this amazing ice cream and it fell over and the dog came and licked it up. I had something like that happen when I was younger and it was totally devastating to me at the time. But anyway, acknowledging like, oh my gosh, that really disappointed me, or that really made me sad, or that really, whatever the feeling is that would go along with how you're feeling. Sometimes you don't know the words, but when you look at that list, you can say, oh, I can pinpoint what the situation is. And then allow yourself to feel the emotions without judging yourself, because we are all humans. We can't help being human, right? But we also want to acknowledge it, because actually I've heard it said that you can't heal a wound by saying it's not there, right? And so by acknowledging that the wound is there, then it can actually heal. But by saying, oh, there's no wound there, well, that thing can get affected. That thing can get really, really bad. And we don't want anything like that. So by acknowledging what the situation is and the circumstance is, then we can actually heal properly and move forward. And there may be a scar, like you might have a scar on your knee. Maybe you fell riding your bike when you were a kid, but it's not an open wound that's oozing when you're 30 years old, right? Hopefully not. So, when it's healed, then there might be a remembrance of it being there, but it's not going to be painful. And that's how we're going to know if we're really healed, right? And then also we want to practice mindfulness. And so mindfulness is going to help us stay present, and it's going to reduce any type of attachment to past events and also to future worries. So by being mindful, I mean like be present where you are at the moment. So if you're listening to this video right now, if you're watching this video right now, be mindful in it, or if you are having a conversation with a person, be mindful, be present, be there all the way. Don't be thinking about your to-do list or thinking about something that somebody said to you when you were in the grocery store. Maybe the cashier was rude or whatever, but be mindful and be present. Now, let's talk about this a little bit, because if there is a wound, if there's something that we're letting go of, more than likely it's something that happened in the past, whether it's a past event, whether it's something someone did in the past. It could be a number of things. And so we may have to revisit that so that can heal properly. But when it has healed properly, there will not be pain associated with it. It's almost like when I talked about that scar, you might have a scar on your leg from something that happened, but if somebody touches that scar, it's not going to hurt. And if somebody says, oh, hey, what was that from? You say, oh, yeah, when I was a kid, I fell off my bike, So there's no negative feeling attached to it, okay? So whenever you talk about the circumstance or situation, if you still feel pain, if you still feel a negative feeling, then that may indicate that you haven't completely healed. Because when you're completely healed, you'll be able to talk about it as though it was something that happened to someone else. Like there's not going to be any negative emotion attached to it. And that's how you know when you're truly healed, because you're not going to be bothered. As my friend says, #unbothered. You'll be #unbothered. It's just a part of your story. It's just maybe a sentence in your story that happened. Maybe it could have even been a paragraph in your story, the book of your life, right? Or a chapter in your story. But it's not the whole book. This one particular incident, or this one particular thing that someone said, or this one particular argument that a person had, or a disappointment, or whatever it is, it doesn't become the whole book of your life, right? Your life is so much more than that. So we don't want to get stuck in a chapter when we need to be looking at this whole beautiful book that is called our life, that is going to be written, right? Let's now talk about some of the rituals that can be used for letting go, because we need to have some practicality here, right? So sometimes it's necessary, depending on, especially with deeper hurts and wounds, to have some kind of symbolic act of letting go that can help provide closure and help you move on. So that could be like journaling. Sometimes people might write it down and then they might tear it up afterwards and then just throw it away. There has to be like something that says, okay, this is finally done. I think I've seen in some movies where people write it and they'll throw it in a bottle in the ocean. I'm not saying throw bottles in the ocean, because we don't want to do that nowadays. But, back in the day that we would see that in a lot of movie and a lot of media, right? But, maybe writing it down and balling it up and then throwing it away. Maybe doing some type of physical activity that helps you clear your mind. So maybe hiking, maybe doing some exercise, whatever it is that helps you get to that calm place. But we're talking about after you've processed through it and you're just kind of like wrapping it up, because you definitely have to do that, right? Also, you can look for a creative outlet, maybe writing a song, maybe writing a poem, maybe painting. If you're a creative person, something that's going to help you get that energy out of your body and away from you, because that's really what you're doing. You're trying to bring it out of your body and getting it away from you. Also, decluttering, okay? Because I have heard it said like, a cluttered desk or a cluttered house or a cluttered room is an indication of kind of what's going on in your mind. And so, take that for what it is. If you may agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. What do you think about that? Also talking to someone. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a second here. But also one other exercise you can do is like, you can take 2 chairs, especially if it's a hurt that happened with a person and maybe you don't feel comfortable going to the person, or maybe you need to process first before you go to the person, because if you go to them, you might let it rip, you may slide into them. And so if you want to make sure that you're in a more calmer place, you can take 2 chairs, put them across from each other. You sit in one chair and have the other chair facing you, and you imagine the person that you need to process the injury with in the other chair, and you just say everything that you ever wanted to say and needed to say to that person, because that is helping it to get out of your body, to separate from your body, and to get removed from you. Because again, our bodies will hold on to these things if we don't process them. And I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. I want you to be joyful. I want you to be peaceful. And as we deal with these things, it actually helps to increase our peace. And then just another strategy is making sure that we talk to someone that we trust, a family member, a therapist. If you pray, and someone who can help provide comfort and perspective. And then we want to share our feelings and experiences with someone who can offer empathy and support, not someone who's going to make us feel worse, or who's going to say, oh, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you thought that. Because at this point, you're trying to process negative feelings, and negative feelings aren't always pretty. They aren't always pretty. So again, it could be a negative situation, but we just don't want to be stuck, okay? Now we're going to talk about how to maintain a positive mindset as we move forward. But before we do that, let me ask you, what strategies have you used to let go of past hurts or negative patterns? What has worked best for you? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. So now let's talk about maintaining a positive mindset. And we want to keep a positive mindset because it's going to help us stay on track after letting go, okay? So again, like if you're healed, it may come across your mind every now and again, but if it does, it's not going to have any pain associated with it. And we don't want to dwell on it, because once you've healed and you've moved forward, you're not going to keep looking backwards. It's almost like when you're driving a car, you can't really move forward effectively in a car if you keep looking in the rearview mirror, right? So we don't want to do that. We want to process the pain and process it properly so we can move forward. One of the ways that we can definitely keep a positive mindset, and I've really been working on this year, and I want to say last year, but definitely this year, is by regularly practicing gratitude, being thankful. We have so many blessings, so many great things that happen in our lives. And even on our worst day, we're still doing better than some other people in the world. There are some people who have it worse than us. They would love to have our worst day, okay? So you may be complaining like, oh, they didn't have my favorite water in the store. Well, do you know in some countries there are still some people who are actually going to fetch water? Like, I didn't even realize that until maybe in the last few years, that there are some people who still fetch, like go with a bucket, go with a bottle, and they go and fetch water and still bring it into the house, because there's no running water in their house. There's no bathroom facility that uses electricity. They still are using outhouses and stuff like that. So please be thankful. Sometimes we can take for granted all of the good things we have in our lives, and the more thankful we are, the more blessings and good things come our way. And we can do this with intentionality by maybe even waking up in the morning and think about the things that we're thankful for. And even in those moments when we're feeling like negative feelings, start to think, okay, what can I be thankful for? You're like, oh, I wanted to go to the beach today. It's raining outside. Well, you know what? I'm thankful for the rain, because the rain helps clear the air and it helps the things grow that need to grow, the flowers. And, so just change that negative into a positive, and surround yourself. This is super important. Surround yourself by uplifting people, uplifting activities. Even if you need to unplug from social media, I'm telling you, some of the most peaceful things you can do for yourself is to unplug from social media, unplug from the news. Because when you're intaking all of these inputs that these algorithms are feeding us, that other people's opinions are, it's like almost you can lose your voice, or you can get mixed up and mingled and affected, and you want to know how you're feeling. So take some time to unplug. I'm a big advocate of that, because that is going to help you be uplifted as well. Now, let me say this. There are some times when we want to let go, but we actually need to stand our ground. And if you would like to know more about when to stand up for yourself, or for a circumstance or a perspective that you have, and when you should actually back off, I want you to watch this video next. And with that being said, make it a great day.